We are going to learn about domain and range on a function, and we'll express the answers in interval notation. Now, I'm going to start with the domain. The domain covers your x-axis, okay? And on my x-axis, let me get a smaller dot here. Okay, this is the first point on my graph, which starts right here at -5. This graph goes from here up to the top with an open circle, which ends at the point 4 right here. The x-axis in between that is the domain. All of the numbers going from here to here. And this number right here was -5, and this number here was 4, and there'll be a comma in between. So you're going to go from -5 to 4. However, if it is a solid dot, that means you include the -5, and in interval notation, we use a bracket to show that. If it's an open circle like the other end where the 4 is, that means you get as close to 4 as possible, but don't include 4. And getting as close to 4 as possible would be 3.999999999. But I don't want to type 3.99999 or write 3.99999. So, sorry, I just like saying that, 3.999. So what you do is you use a parenthesis, which says, get as close to 4 as possible, but don't include 4. So that's my domain. In my little toolbox over here, this one right here starts with a parenthesis or starts with a bracket and ends with a parenthesis. So I'm going to click on that so it'll go into this box, and then I'll just type in the -5 in the first box and the 4 in the second, and that's my domain. The range, I'm going to erase this so I can do range next. The range covers your y-axis, all right? So I'm still looking at this same function, but now instead of looking at it from left to right, which is how the x-axis goes, I have to look at it from bottom to top. So the bottommost point is still this one. This one is the far left point, but it's also the bottommost point. And that is at -2 on the y-axis. And then as you go up the function, you end here. So this is my highest, and that one, the highest point is at 5. So everything in between here on the y-axis is my range. So for this one, it starts here and then goes all the way up to the 5. So this was -2, and up here is 5. And your interval, once again, it starts with a solid dot and ends with an open circle. So I'd need this same one to go in here. And in there, I'm going to type the -2 and then the +5. Intervals always go from smallest to largest. So for the domain, you're going to be going from left to right. Left to right. And for the range, you'll be looking at this thing from bottom to top. All right? So my x-axis was from left to right. That's my domain. My y-axis was from bottom up to top. So every single point that's on this function, I'm going to click on eraser again so I can show you something. Any point that you pick on this function, let's say we pick this point right here, okay? It has an x coordinate that's, let's say it looks like 2, and then it has a y coordinate that's 4. So this ordered pair is the point 2, 4. However, the x-coordinate of 2 falls somewhere between -5 and 4. It's in that domain. And then the y-coordinate of 4, that falls somewhere between -2 and 5. 4 is between -2 and 5. Just like the 2 is between the -5 and 4. And I can do that with any point. Any point I look at. Its x-coordinate will be somewhere in this range, and its y-coordinate will be somewhere in this range. Although they call this one up here the domain. Sorry. This one's the domain, and this one's the range. I always remember the range game from The Price is Right. They would bring out this tall vertical thing, and then they'd have like this little window, and they'd say, start the range, and the little window would work up here, and there was a button down here, and you'd hit the button, and then it would stop, and as long as your price was within this range right here of numbers, maybe it was like from 10 grand to 20 grand, as long as your guess was in that range in the window, you won the prize. So the range is always the vertical, it's the Y. Anyway, that was from my childhood. Domain and range.